partners, and public to highlight the need for a greater global response. This day marks the birth anniversary of Nobel Prize winning scientist Dr. Baruch Blumberg, who discovered hepatitis B virus and developed diagnostic tests and vaccines for the virus. With this, I now invite the organizer, Professor Shubhrajit Vishwas, Director of Amity Institute of Molecular Medicine and Stem Cell Research, to welcome all the dignitaries and brief the program.
Thank you, Dr. Shinjini. It's a very special day for us. Not only we do research in liver, but all of us, because it's a World Hepatitis Day. So just to brief, hello. That is, we are all assembled from the Amity Institute of Molecular Medicine and Stem Cell Research. And we do all kind of the cancer research, but today we are highlighting the liver cancer as well as liver day. So I'm just came here initially, I'm briefing today. So we are welcoming our distinguished guest, Dr. Anil Agrawal. He's a director, medical director and surgeon from GB Pant Hospital. And we have distinguished Shilpa Murthy sir, who is a Amity Innovation Foundation Take Care. And I want to announce one thing, that is, we are very lucky that is the hepatitis research started in India with a few dignitaries. One of them is Dr. Anil Agrawal sir, even with us, our chairman, as well as BC Das sir. Actually, in the long back with Ship Sharing, then AK Card, Jogesh Chawla, as well as Subrato Acharya sir, they set up the hepatitis research in the India. So with us, Professor BC Das sir with us also. So then we had a few valuable remarks in the Vice Chancellor from the Amity University will do. Then another industry person, Dr. Prashant, with us. So he'll tell about the recent updates and technologies regarding the liver research, especially emphasized with the 3D bioprinting. Then the Honorable Founder sir as well as Chancellor sir will join probably in online to finish this for valuable remark. So I am just inviting all of you for the lightening the lamp, please, sir. And I can say the scholar.
शारदे माँ अज्ञानता से हमें तार दे माँ, मुनियों ने समझी है गुणियों ने जानी, वेदों की भाषा पुराणों की वाणी, मुनियों ने समझी है गुणियों ने जानी, वेदों की भाषा पुराणों की वाणी। हम भी तो समझे, हम भी तो जाने, विद्या का हमको अधिकार दे माँ, हे शारदे माँ, हे शारदे। शारदे माँ अज्ञानता से हमें तार दे माँ, मुनियों ने समझी है गुणियों ने जानी, वेदों की भाषा पुराणों की वाणी, मुनियों ने समझी है शारदे मां हे शारदे मां हे शारदे मां अज्ञानता से हमें तार दे मां हे शारदे मां हे शारदे मां अज्ञानता से हमें तार दे मां हे शारदे मां हे शारदे मां अज्ञानता से हमें तार।
Another announcement. The first symptom of any liver disease is the jaundice. So this is why that is any Hepatitis Day, World Liver Day. We wear the yellow ribbon. So I am requesting to give the yellow ribbon to all dignitaries here in the dais.
I request all the faculties and students to move to front benches. Don't leave it. Come, move to the front benches, please.
Please bring the yellow ribbon. Given to students also. All students also. It will be distributed to students also. लगा देते हैं हाँ स्टेप का लगा हो इसको ऐसे लगाएंगे हाँ कल लगा दे So thank you all of you. As mentioned, that is distinguished scientists from the International Association of Surgeon Gastroenterologists and Oncologists, Professor Anil Agrawal, Director, Gastroenterology Surgeon, Govindopal Pallab Pant Hospital, and Institute of Postgraduate Medical Education Research will be delivered the World Vision of the Hepatitis and Liver Research this day. The World Hepatitis Day recognized annually on the 28th July, the birthday of Dr. Bloomer, and he discovered the hepatitis B virus, and after 2 years he got the Nobel Prize. So in the recent view of the Amity University Uttar Pradesh campus, the awareness campaign empowering the people against the hepatitis was initiated in 15 March 2019, led by the Honorable Founder President Sir, Dr. Ashok K. Chauhan, Dr. Shilvamurthy sir, as well as Dr. B.C. Das sir in our campus with collaboration with Institute of Liver and Biliary Sciences here. So this is the Amity University journey, and MSR was continuing the enthusiasm, but the lockdown campaign was running online mode, we know, and we arranged the lectures in the online cluster in 2000 and 2020 and 21. The 2020, the Nobel Prize in Physiology and Medicine is awarded the Harbly Alter, then Horton and the Rice for the discovery of the hepatitis C. So as you know, that is, we have a hepatitis B vaccine, but hepatitis C vaccine still not available, because the China still claim that is they have a hepatitis C vaccine, and it is already announced by World Health Organization, but FDA still not approved it. So that is the scenario, and still we have to do a lot. So that's why this year the World Health Organization give the theme, we cannot wait. So Professor Dr. Shilvamurthy sir will elaborate the things, why we cannot wait for that. And the last year in 2022, that is with blessings of Founder President sir, we established that is Amity Center for Liver Research. that is in AUP first floor and under umbrella of Amity Institute of Molecular Medicine and Stem Cell Research, with the vision of international collaboration and exchange program. So this is the thing. I will not take too much time. So to continue the program, I'm calling Dr. Shinjini. Please start.
Thank you, Professor Viswal, for actually giving the briefing the program. So now to move forward, I invite Dr. Silvamurthy sir, who is the president of Amity Science Technology Innovation Foundation, Director General for Amity Directorate of Science and Innovation, and Chancellor, Amity University, Chhattisgarh. Sir has served DRDO for 40 years, in which all health and life science related technologies were developed and introduced in the armed force. With these words, I invite Dr. Silvamurthy.
Very good morning to every one of you. Good morning. That's good. Very good. So, my dear students, today we are here to bring a focus on the hepatitis, which is one of the major the disease which we are all worried about at the global level. So, how do you create the awareness? How do you strengthen our early diagnosis, intervention, and also the medical management of this disease, hepatitis? So, on this World Hepatitis Day, let me pay my salutations to all those who are connected with this mission of control and management of hepatitis at the national level and global level. I will start with founder president, Dr. Ashok Chauhan. In fact, he used to attend every World Hepatitis Day in person here, as well as in the ILBS, Institute of Liver and Biliary Disease. I was fortunate to accompany on 2 occasions to ILBS with founder president. That's where we met Dr. Biswas. So Dr. Sareen and Dr. Ashok Chauhan, the founder president, they are very good friends. And so we have gone together, and his commitment, founder president's commitment towards the control, management, and cure of the hepatitis is commendable. So when I salute all those people connected, I'll start with founder president. In fact, the empowering people against hepatitis is the main focus. How do we empower everyone? Because it's not that only patients have hepatitis, their families and the general public who may be having a subclinical disease, which may not be manifesting as the symptoms, but they may be the carriers. So everyone has to be aware of this disease for prevention, control, management, and cure. So that is why this celebration of the World Hepatitis Day is to bring a refocus and then also work with more greater vigor so that we'll be able to manage this disease effectively. The ILBS and Amity have a very long-standing partnership. So that is why Dr. Sareen, I met him just last week at Coimbatore in G20, which has got a being S20, Science 20. So I was with him, and then we were also discussing about this, what all work he is doing in liver, including the liver transplant and hepatitis. We discussed about this. So we established a awareness campaign we started in partnership with ILBS on 15th March 2019. So we started a formal campaign, awareness campaign, which Amity and ILBS are together doing with regard to hepatitis. Then founder president always takes the lead. He established a separate center, Amity Center for Liver Research, just a year ago, as a part of the Amity Institute of Molecular Medicine and Stem Cell Research, which Dr. B.C. Das, one of the icon in the field of cancer biology globally, and he's also known as the father of cancer cervix here, father of human papilloma virus, which one of the Nobel laureate discovered, and he worked with him in Germany for 10 years, and he did his PhD there. And so we are fortunate to have such a distinguished icon in the field of cancer biology here. So he is heading the Amity Institute of Molecular Medicine and Stem Cell Research. So with his initiative and with the blessings of founder president and the drive of our Dr. Biswas, this center, Amity Center for Liver Research, was established a year ago. And this is one of the important activities. The World Hepatitis Day, which we are holding today, is one of those activities under this center. Now, the theme this year for the World Hepatitis Day is something unique, which is we are not waiting. We are not waiting. There is no time for us to wait. So we have to, like a warrior, like a soldier, we should get into action immediately. So that is why this theme, we are not waiting, because there are 10 million deaths every year, more than 10 million deaths every year due to hepatitis. So we should stop that. One person dying is a concern for every one of us. So that is why if 10 million, more than 10 million deaths are occurring due to hepatitis, it's a big concern for us. So we as scientists, academicians, researchers, industry person, corporate person, every one of us have to look at. So we cannot wait. So we are not waiting. And we are not waiting for testing, because you need testing. After all, hepatitis B and C, and also the other variants like E, it needs proper testing, early diagnosis. How do you pick them up early? Say, for example, when you go for blood testing, they look at whether you are hepatitis B. That's one area where you do the testing. And maybe pregnant mothers or the newborn, they are all tested. But then there could be many more people. So how do you do a large-scale screening, testing? So we cannot wait for testing. So we should hurry up to bring simple point-of-care diagnostics and also large-scale screening. So this is one important thing. Then also treatment. Treatment, we have immunization for hepatitis B, now C, now it is under trial. So we are trying to bring that C also faster. So, but then we need those immunization for prevention as well as for the treatment, the anti-hepatitic, the interventions, the therapeutic interventions. So we need even herbal. We can look at herbal, which has a very long tradition here. So there must be a lot of research happening. So students, since you people are here, you need to roll up your sleeves and get ready to launch programs, initiatives on hepatitis for new therapeutic intervention. Then the pregnant mothers is very important population, because that is how it gets transmitted as well to the newborn, to the family. So one target population where we need to focus is pregnant mothers. Diagnosis, and if it is positive, how do you intervene so that we protect the family, not only the child, the whole family and generations are protected. So this is how this World Hepatitis Day is very important. I must also thank Dr. Anil Agarwal, because he has been visiting Amity. I have met him on a few occasions, but I see this person not only as a clinician, not only as a researcher, but a person who is committed with passion, junoon. His passion, how do we control gastrointestinal disorders, including hepatitis. So when I was just sitting with him for a few minutes, I could see his devotion, commitment to this mission. And he was telling what are all happening. And he is aware of all that which we need to do further. So like we were discussing about epidemiological database. For our country, we don't have a systematic epidemiological database of hepatitis, because there are so many variants. So many viral hepatitis, and also the other alcohol related. So genetic and epigenetic factors, how does it influence hepatitis? All this is a lacuna, big lacuna there. So there's an ample opportunity for students like you that look at the molecular biology and also develop new diagnostic and therapeutic intervention. Then Dr. Anil Agarwal is Director of Gastroenterology and also a gastroenterology surgeon at GB Pant Hospital, and also a postgraduate medical education research. So he is driving not only the clinical therapeutic intervention for the patients, but also looking at the research. So that is why his presence here is very, very important for us. And we are building partnership with him. So I have told Dr. Biswas, Dr. Das to initiate a new partnership with him. So now finally, we also have one other distinguished industrialist with us, Dr. Prashant. He is from ATCG India. This company is doing something different, something novel, disruptive, because we do a lot of animal experimentation. So there is a lot of animal activists and those who doesn't want to touch the animal for experimentation. What is the alternative? So we are looking at 3D printing. Can it be an option? And so that you minimize or eliminate the use of animals for experimentation, because they also have life. Like we are also part of the animal kingdom. So he is now looking at the alternative. So he's going to deliberate on this very important issue. So Dr. Prashant, welcome to Amity, because we have a very strong 3D printing, bioprinting. And so this Dr. Das, and we just discussed that we will be able to also look at how do we partner with this company for this 3D bioprinting. Now the final message is, let us today on this World Hepatitis Day, which we are celebrating here at Amity University, Uttar Pradesh, Noida, and under the main leadership of Dr. Das, Dr. Biswas, and the whole team of Amity Institute of Molecular Medicine and Stem Cell Research, with the blessings of Founder President Dr. Ashok Chauhan, let's take a resolution. Let us all create awareness first among ourselves. We should know. We should spread the message to our families, to our friends, relatives, social media. So awareness campaign should be very, very focused, because people are not aware of what is this hepatitis. So awareness campaign is the first effort which all of us can do right now. Then, being the researcher and academician and also having a center on liver diseases, let us also look at what we can do, make a roadmap that this is what is the research which we want to do in the field of hepatitis. So I would like to hear as an outcome, not only today, maybe after a week or so, Biswas and the whole team in molecular medicine and stem cell research will submit a roadmap that what Amity can do here, and as well as in partnership with others like Professor Dr. Anil Agarwal and also Dr. Prashant. So what we can do together, we would like to look as an outcome, sustainable outcome from this deliberation. So students, please be attentive as well as listen to every word of our experts who have joined us today, who have come all the way to share their knowledge, expertise, experience, wisdom with you all. So please assimilate, synthesize, and everything what they are going to speak to you. And then that will be a big opportunity for you to learn. With this, my best wishes, and thank you so much, Dr. Anil Agarwal and Prashant, to be here with us. And thank you, Dr. Das, as well as, thank you so much. Thank you, best wishes.
Dr. Namurthy.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Namurthy. Dr. Namurthy.
Founder President, welcome, sir.
I was attending from the very beginning, but in between, I have just now to go for a meeting. So
Yes.
can I say a few words now?
Yes, please, Founder President, give a big clap to Founder President to welcome him. Thank you so much, sir.
And I think it's a great occasion. Dr. Namurthy has rightly expressed how close is hepatitis to my heart. Because I have been very much involved in ILBS with Dr. Shiv Sarin, as Namurthy told. I must tell you, Subhrajit, that today the event of ILBS at the parliamentary committee room is taking place, where Shah Sahab is coming and all are coming, and Shiv Sarin was drastically following with me. You as a distinguished guest have to come. But I told Subhrajit manta nahi hai. He is not allowing me to leave here, and I excused from him. And as Dr. Namurthy rightly told, we have every year celebrating in a big way at ILBS. And Dr. Namurthy, I think you remember also, after a function there was tea going on, and I could spot this gentleman Subhrajit Biswas. वो क्या कहते हैं शादी में I made him offer. वो जब लड़का लड़की मिलते हैं ना तो कहते हैं I made him offer. So now we are married with him and we are so proud on my detection of his talent just by listening him and seeing him. So my dear students, my dear faculty members, my dear researchers, AI MMS SR is a wonderful institution. I think we will be number one in the country in coming times. And these all research, stem cell research, cancer research, and even hepatitis is very important in life because how many people die in the world, you know it. And one of my friends got hepatitis and I took him to Shiv Sarin. So in spite of great gathering there, he immediately called me inside and I heard him how he treats and how he does it. And he gave me interferon for this friend. But I took in addition to that some homeopathic medicine and which was taken by my Dr. Gupta. And also I developed myself with the help of Trimunaji, the Ayurvedic medicine. Because Shikarin told that he would need, he will get cirrhosis and then maybe replacement of liver. But I would say this combination of medicines with what you are doing in this campus, you are learning it. So we are bringing revolution. Dr. B.C. Das के बारे में जो बोलूँगा तो I need 1 hour, but that time I have to, you have to also further program. He is an unbelievable leader, scientist, and a human being. All these three qualities are rarely available, but I'm proud, B.C. Das Saab, and you're scientist. I would not be able to take the name of everybody because of paucity of time, but I think each one of your scientists I'm proud of that. What they are doing, getting so many funded research, so many research, and therefore I'm really proud of this. And our chief guest today, I'm very happy to have Anil Agrawal ji. With GB Pant, I have very close association because Shiv Sarin was sitting there in GB Pant's hospital before he shifted to ILBS, and therefore I'm very close there. Dr. Brahm Prakash was the one of the most renowned neurosurgeon, and he always visited me in Germany about 6 to 8 times when he went to Europe. So my dear students, you have a great future in this area. I must tell you how important this area. The daughter, eldest daughter of Atul Chauhan ji, our president, is joining in the same area in a very renowned university in USA. And because she was so much interested, it means even in my family, this has spread that this area is a developing area, and you do double things. You make your career, you help people, but you really help people all over the world. Because I always say to my faculty members and students, I have been head of the research and development, that the brain, the intuitiveness, the capability of my scientist is superb. Because people will not be able to believe it, what Dr. Chauhan is telling, Germany, South Korea, France, USA, but I tell you, there is no comparison of my scientists, my students. That is why the 6,000 Germans were saluting me, the Europeans were saluting me. Why? Because we have the sanskars and values of our Rishi Munis. They may have good technology, a better lab, but where is this mind? That is only we with India. Dr. B.C. Das, my congratulations, Subhajit Vishwas, to all my faculty members, and my heartily welcome to our chief guest, Anil Agrawal ji. I've heard a lot about him. He is a great doctor and great helping to people. So I would say I wish you a lot of success. After coming back from the meeting, I will silently join again. I have to reach to the campus, the Asab at 2 o'clock, because CSR DG is coming. So she will be coming, and I have to see first the arrangement in I2 Wood Hall. So blessings to all the best. A good function, good event. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. If you don't mind, I can show 2-3 slides regarding our approaches and the ACLR. So
ठीक है
I'll not take too much time.
नहीं take her.
Okay. So this is the journey we started from the Amity, where founder sir is started in 15 March in 2019, along with the ILBS, Liver and Biliary Sciences. So I'll not take time, and we already started the World Liver Day, that is in 2022. In between 20 and 21, I already mentioned that is it was in online mode, and that is we did with the distinguished guests from the Brazil, Switzerland, Netherlands. So even we finally team up with that. I'll show the slides also. So in fact, that is hepatitis B campaign is we can do in the 3 times in the year. One is 28th of July. This is World Hepatitis D. World Liver Day we celebrate in actually the 19th April. That is the World Liver Day. Emphasis with total liver disease, not only virus. So, and the in UGC, that is University Grand Commission, also started the one campaign on the 4th December, which started from the Dr. Shiv Sarin from ILBS, and I can show the picture. That is that time Dr. Sheila Dixit was there, and N.K. Ganguly sir is, yeah, Sheila Dixit sir is there. Even N.K. Ganguly sir also joined there, and Koila Shattar Poti, who is a Peace Nobel laureate, he was there. So it is started from ILBS. So now it's a national campaign, and huge number of the students from the MAT every year joining with the founder sir. So big cap for the all World Hepatitis Day once again. And lastly, I want to, I already mentioned that is 2020, what is a great day because 3 Nobel laureate from the hepatitis C virus. And I'll not go too much detail, just I want to say that is the already Shilpamutti sir announced that is the last year in the 7th of November. दिखा नहीं दे रहा. So last year in 7 November, we started the initiation of the Amities Center for Liver Research, and mentioned by the, and with the blessing from founder sir, and I want to show some of the picture from the special day, and it is the umbrella of Amity Institute of Molecular Medicine and Stem Cell Research in J3 block. And even we also set up the advisor for the ACLR. That's announcement have to do today, and I put the founder cell also one of the advisor, and Shiv Sarin sir, and the special big scientists from the abroad also involved with us, like Scott Friedman, who work on hepatic stellate cells, and we have a MO with him. Then Shilpa Choksi, who is from London. Then Arun Channel from the USA. Then Charleston, where I did my first postdoc in USA. That is Anand Mehta with us. Then Meena Banshal, and one of the former Professor Ashok Mukherjee also work on the liver. So I put in the advisor committee in the ACLR, Amity Center for Liver Research. And I want to mention that is Dr. Manga always with us. So the we make one international executive committee, and Dr. Kunal, he is now doing great in the liver research with the Jashoda Super Specialty Hospital. And one Brazil, he is a transplant surgeon. He also joined with us in the executive committee of the ACLR. And I am also requesting all sir, please join with us in this occasion as the advisor of the committee. So huge number of the ACLR international members and scientists who all are work on the liver related, like Onkur is now in Australia. So he has given talk and is associated. And most of the scientists also associate with the Amity Institute of Molecular Medicine in terms of the external guides, as well as collaboration in the liver research. We have a huge number of the Indian members and a popular partner. Oh, I would say that is a USA and also Brazil, as well as I can say that is Jennifer Chen. He is the supervisor of our IMSA student, Sachin. So we are collaborating, and number of the faculty from India also join in ACLR group. And just I am telling that is those are the ACLR scholars, some pictures. And we have a weekly rosters, and we are trying to elaborate the ACLR activity more and more internationally, especially. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Very well spoken.
Sir,
Right.
sir, any comments?
Really, very glad to listen your great desire to be great person, great scientist together with colleagues. I must again appreciate the scientist, faculty member working with Dr. B.C. Das and you. They are unassuming, astonishing. I am very regularly reading about their achievements. Recently, who will be also, I think, speaking, who was yesterday also very much prominent in the function, he is also there. And also, I appreciate Dr. Prashant. So I'm very proud that this institution will make mark in the whole world, and one day perhaps you will produce a Nobel laureate. I know that how good work you are doing, and this is most important for any country to keep the people healthy, and for which relentlessly you are all working. My dear student, proud of you. My dear faculty member, researcher, proud of you. Ramlinger Swami, Ramanujan Swami, proud of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, we are continuing then.
Yeah.
Dr. Shinjini, please, for next session. Sir, Dr. Shinjini also Welcome Trust Fellow.
Yeah. Yes. Yesterday I heard him. He was very much appreciated from DBT Welcome Trust program going on. So I'll meet him. Today I'm coming. Perhaps he can come for 5 minutes. Right. Thank you.
Thank you, Founder President Sir, for gracing the occasion. Your wisdom and your remarkable vision always inspires us. So now moving forward, the program, I invite Professor B.C. Das, sir, Dean Health and Allied Science Chairman and Professor M. Sir has made outstanding contribution in the field of cancer research, tumor virology, human genetics. Sir has worked with Nobel laureate at German Cancer Research Center and later pioneered her work in HPV virus.
At the outset, I thank our beloved Founder President for gracing this occasion and have blessings on this occasion. And it's a great feeling that he could do the busy schedule, extremely busy schedule, could find time to give us blessings and give the words of inspirations, and that will be not for only on the faculty, but all the students. You should feel that how Founder President is interested in science and innovation, and that is where we live in MIT University. So that's the great feeling, and you should feel that the inspiration of it, that how Founder President for this occasion, he could find time to give us the blessings and have his words of wisdom. So thank you, Founder Sir. Thank you very much. And I welcome the today's guest, Professor Dr. Anil Agarwal, whom I knew almost 3 decades or more than that, when I was in 90s in Maulana Azad Medical College. The ICMR Institute was located in the 3rd floor of Maulana Azad Medical College, but we are all considered as a faculty in the campus. The Maulana Azad LNJB Hospital and GB Pant Hospital and Guru Nanak Dev Eye Hospital and Reddy Harding Hospital. There's a group of hospitals. So there we are all known to, and we can walk down to any clinic and anywhere and with a full freedom. So we are considered as a faculty there, and we had a lot of collaborations. And I know with that collaboration I had, which is, I think, first time in India, nobody has any medical or non-medical people having 79 MD, MS, MDs with me, who has done their thesis with me. So this is everybody is very surprised with seeing that could be possible only with being in Maulana Azad, because so many MD students, MS students come to do the molecular aspects, and their clinical guide, I became the molecular guide. That's all. And that's how I know Dr. Sareen and Dr. Anil Agarwal and many other people, faculty there. Nirmal Kumar was there earlier and all. There are several faculty are closely known to me, and still we are maintaining that relations and collaboration in science. That's a great feeling. And he has earlier also addressed in some occasion, and today he is again here and accepted our invitation. Thank you so much. And then from the industry, Mr. What is Prasant Singh is the strategic digital partner from the ATCG. So he will be demonstrating not today. He wanted to demonstrate that is great of his that he himself offered to show the how the 3D printing works, and he has the machine and all. He will come with this advanced machine and will show here. Maybe next week we will plan Monday or Tuesday, and that's a great feeling. But why we are accumulated here today to observe the occasion of the World Hepatitis Day. Why we should do this Hepatitis Day, and why today on 28th of July? Why not other day? So, but inconvenience may lead to have the observation or the having this occasion in the other day, but actually world over it is observed on the 28th July because of the fact on that day the birthday of the discoverer of hepatitis B. But that is not the only hepatitis B which is very common, but then there are 5 main hepatitis viruses, A, B, C, D, E. And there is G and TT viruses also, whose function is not known. TT viruses is called transfusion transmitted viruses. When the blood transfusion is given, these viruses are in the huge population or the high titer. But you do not know, it is still not clear why the titer is increased and what is its the clinical implications or the pathogenic implications. But it is not that why it is increased, something is there. But we have investigated along with Kunal Das, who comes as an expert here. And they, so he is my MD students that time in Maulana Azad. He worked his thesis on this. And there is hepatitis G virus, which one girl did MD senior resident work with me. But that is also very highly expressed in the certain situation, but it is not known. But mainly hepatitis A, B, C, D, and E. D is not that important, but A is not that important because during your childhood, we get everybody vaccinated rather. It's a auto vaccination, means when you play with the soil and all these things, that time you get infected slowly and you get develop the antibody. And but then any adult people like our age or anybody and 50, 60 years, if they get hepatitis B A infection, it means he has or she has no antibody and it will be serious. So otherwise it is not a problem. It's a auto antibody is developed when you play in the childhood. And there is no need of giving the vaccination or anything for that. But B vaccination is there. So the discoverer, the Baruch Blumberg, who discovered this virus in 1967, and 2 years after he developed the vaccine for this, and then 1976 he got the Nobel Prize for that. It's a diagnostic technique also he developed. He developed vaccines also, and he discovered the virus also. So all these contributions led to giving. He received the Nobel Prize in 1976. So this is how one grows up. You are a scientist, you are a young scientist, you should think of, there are many things has to be discovered because hepatitis C vaccine is not there. Hepatitis C infection is very dangerous, and all over there are at least about 3 million people are living with the hepatitis infections, hepatitis all infections, and there are at least 100 million out of that is in India, in India, and in India it is 40 million and 12 million hepatitis C who are living with the hepatitis C and B infections. And in the Southeast Asia, it is around 100 million and around 30 million hepatitis C and 100 million hepatitis B. So you can imagine that you remain as a carrier whole life, but anytime it will slowly make, because what is hepatitis? It is just not that, nothing, just inflammation. But anywhere you see inflammation, you cannot neglect, because it is a liver inflammation. But automatically your immune system can take care of this. It can, in a few months, it can be eliminated, and it can be, any virus infection can be eliminated, and it can be okay. But if it persists, it is persistent in the same procedure, it gets integrated. Molecular biologists all are. So you should know that the virus gets integrated in the host cell genome, and then it persists. And then your enzyme gets activated, the AST and ALT, SGPT or SGOT. The two names are there. So you can say ALT or AST. So that immediately gets high. So that is what is tested in your blood serum and the blood test. So generally, if you are doubtful, you should do that. That digestion is problem and something is happening. So you should, I think Dr. Agarwal will say a few things. So this is what the clinical symptoms, and then you go for a blood test. And this is happened because of the contaminated needles and the eating outside and all these. There are several source, and the drug injections and all these. There it is a source of infections. And everybody, one or the other time in the lifetime, they will get an infection. But you have the ability to remove it, or the elimination of this. So hepatitis B is very serious because it has no vaccine. The Chinese have demanded that they have a vaccine, but then it is not yet been FDA approved. So and it has not come into the market rather. But there are drugs to treat. But in India, the drug is cost around 50 lakhs or so. So I do not remember the drug's name. Some immuno. So that is, it is cheaper than US. US is very high cost, but it is, fortunately it is less, but it is high cost, around 50 lakhs or so. So this is, but it is seriously, this vaccine infection, it doesn't go, it persists. So even if your medicine is given and the ALT and AST came down, but you are not sure the virus has gone, so long you don't the liver biopsy. I know there are several meetings have been done, and I know one of the, or several meetings with Sareen and all the experts, Dr. Chawla and all, we have in that how to confirm that AST, the patient is normal, the enzyme level, but you are not sure the virus is there or not, because virus can still be there in the main organ, in the liver cells. So that only be possible. Generally, they do not go for a liver biopsy, but that is only in the very serious cases they go for biopsy. But another virus, the hepatitis E virus, is very common and very important, that you can always get contamination when you go out and eat. So all the contamination, particularly Golgappa and all these things, are very dangerous, and particularly ladies. And that too, those who are advanced as pregnant ladies, is a danger for them. They should completely be prohibited to take all these things, because once you get this infection, your life is in danger. The infants, the fetus in danger. They develop the liver cirrhosis and liver failure, and this is called fulminant hepatitis, and they will die mostly. And I have done the work in Maulana Azad, and they generally come to the gynae clinic, and during delivery, we have seen that why these women are dying. So we find out some reasons, and it was published in Molecular Medicine as a good paper. We have shown that what is that, that NF-kappa is influenced by the hepatitis B infections, and there are, I don't want to go into the detail, but that's very dangerous, that they are, it is associated with the epidemic mostly. And it was several places it gets epidemic when there is a the flood and all these things, the water is contaminated. Source is water, liquid media, so drinks, anything you take. So Golgappa is the major source. So you know how the Golgappa is sold here. So other things also you have drink the water in the very bad restaurant and all. So I am telling this because you are all students, you go to here and there, we also go. So you should be very critical about drinking anything. What is putting inside your mouth? So German people, sir, I am telling, it is so serious. They don't take anything to inside the mouth or injected. You can do outside anything, but they cannot inject anything in the. But to take inside the body is very, very cautious because it can cause any problems. So these are the few of the, and it should be awareness that how the hepatitis viruses can cause the disease, and it is still the burden of the disease. You can understand what it is still after having the vaccine. This is the burden. In the 40 million people in India are living with this hepatitis B virus infection, and 12 million are with the hepatitis C infection. So these are very important to see that how we can get rid of this virus infections and how we can reduce the burden. These are very important aspects, and as far as the research is concerned, and this the ACLR, it's with the power, blessings of our founder president, because of the association, and he just now elaborated, founder president sir, that, and that is why he asked one day to Dr. Biswas that why don't you are working on liver cancer, so liver disease, so why don't you go for creating a center? So he has created, but within the, not that center separately, but within the AMSA. So it's a center that which mainly works on the liver cancer or liver diseases. He is the lone person, but Dr. Professor Baligar is also working on liver, on the liver tissue regenerations. So the tissue engineering part, that, so that those who are on the liver cancer, they will be associated with this. So even in the, not on the AMSAR, but on the outside of the Amity campus. So, and it will, he has given the, what is the activity has been done. It's good. Liver is one of the major disease, and it is the major organ, the biggest organ in your body. So it is called as the heart of the body. So though we have the heart, but this is another heart of the body. So liver, if it is goes wrong, then you are gone. So your digestion gone, and you cannot digest, you cannot eat anything. So liver is very, I know every organ is a vital organ, but there are, when the patient in the very critical stage, the vital organ is liver, kidney, heart, lungs. So these are few organs which are very important, and they are called as the vital organs. So top vital organs, of course, heart, if it stops, everything stops, but then liver is very important because it controls many of the things, and they are connected. There is a liver or the gastric and brain axis, and liver and gastric heart axis. So they are all connected. So that is not an independent organ; it's a human or the individual's organ body, but that is interconnected. So it is, you cannot separate out, but they are a major function of this. So certainly, so you can have some knowledge and some, and those who are working on hepatitis, that you can know what are the lacunae or the gap of the knowledge. One can work on that, and that is what the inspiration, and also to avoid and to be aware and to see that, and if you are be aware, so that the burden will be reduced. So thank you very much, and for accommodation here, and thank you. I thank all the invited guests. So thank you.
Thank you, sir, for the informative address. Now, moving forward, I would like to take the opportunity to invite our guest of today, Professor Anil Agarwal, Director and gastroenterology surgeon at Govind Ballabh Pant Hospital and Institute of Post Medical Education and Research. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here once again, and I'm extremely grateful to the think tank to give me this invitation, and the founder, president, Dr. Ashok Chauhan, and I'm grateful for his kind words when he was addressing the gathering, and for the invitation, Dr. Selvamurthy. No, no, be careful. बोला नहीं ये कर दीजिए उसको. So, and I think Dr. Selvamurthy, who addressed the gathering. So again, thank you, and Dr. B.C. Das, who we have been closely associated, and thank you, sir. I think for all the blessings and also guiding our postgraduates over the last 3 decades. And I think we never thought, even after the ICMR was shifted, we never thought that ICMR with Dr. Das has moved out. He was always available for everything in the campus. So thank you very much. And Dr. Subrajit Biswas, pleasure to meet you, and thank you very much. And it is nice to see that under the that Amity Institute. What happened? Is there some problem? With the Amity Institute of Molecular and Stem Cell Research, and you have the Liver Research Institute. And so all the best, and I'm sure sky's the limit. And I think we would urge you to get more and more involved also in the surgical aspects of the research. I think, which is what I was talking just now before this, that you were talking about liver regeneration that you're working on. And I think those are important areas that which as a clinician, as a surgeon, we face on a day-to-day basis. And so that would be very nice. And Mr. Prashant, Dr. Prashant, being here, and I think 3D printing, I would also look forward to looking at that. So I think, what happened? Share करना. What happened? I think there's some glitch here because I think when they put on share, the slides are not moving. Anyway, I'll start off by saying that we are celebrating the World Hepatitis Day today. And as I think it was alluded to, Dr. Sareen started the Hepatitis Day when he was in GB Pan on 4th of December. And I think even this World Hepatitis Day started on a different date. And I think it was probably in 2010 that, sorry, can this be, I think the part of the screen is getting, anyway. So, I think, anyway, okay. So it was to give as a mark of respect and the gratitude to Professor Bloomberg, who had discovered this hepatitis B. And also 2 years later, I think within 2 years, he got the vaccine also for that. And as a recognition of this, then he was, this day was changed and it was made as a World Hepatitis Day on 28th of July, which is his birthday. And I think, yes, when we talk about hepatitis, it started with hepatitis B, but it is encompassing all viruses and not just viruses. As I go through my talk, we have to protect the liver. So I think we have to have an eye also on how we can look after the other aspects also. Because I think if you'll recall, hepatitis C was not there earlier. And I think it was 1989 that 3 researchers they, what was labeled earlier as non-A, non-B, because people thought that there is something else, some other virus, but what is it? You don't know. So it was labeled as a non-A, non-B. And I remember even when we were, I just joined the faculty, and I remember the first patient for which we tested the blood for hepatitis C. I think it was about 95, 96. And so I think that is, so now we know that hepatitis C, and in fact, over the years, the hepatitis C became more dangerous because hepatitis B had a vaccine. As Dr. Das was saying, that hepatitis C, people thought that you don't have a, sorry, what happened? कोई बात नहीं, रहने दीजिए, ब्लैक पट्टी रहने दीजिए, कोई बात नहीं। अच्छा, जूम पे भी आ रहा है, चलो आगे देख रहे हैं ना, आगे नहीं बढ़ना, आ रहे हैं। Anyway, so it was labeled as a, and this year's theme of World Hepatitis Day is one life, one liver. We can't wait. So, yes, okay, thank you. So I think very ingeniously, I think the WHO body also has been naming it as a different, with the target of 2030, in which they have said that they get rid of the hepatitis virus related issues. So because I think I remember that in 2021, they labeled it as hepatitis can't wait. And at that time, it was because all focus was on COVID. And so, in fact, they highlighted that how much is the magnitude of this problem. So I think every year they have been trying to put in focus so that the entire world gets after trying to get rid of this virus related problems. And so I think if you look at their site now, it is one life, one liver. And why do they say that? Is that they say that liver, obviously we know, as has been highlighted, that there are almost so many functions, 500 vital, but 500 is a number, I think, because it's innumerable, I think, as we'll see. And the other thing is that, like as Dr. Suvrajit was saying, that yellow ribbon, I think jaundice is kind of labeled as a symptom of liver disease or obstruction or hepatitis or obstruction. However, most of the hepatitis B or C ailments in the initial part do not produce symptoms, or those symptoms are what would not label it as a liver disease. So I think one has to be careful, and you need to intervene before any of these major problematic symptoms occur. So you have to take cognizance of mild symptoms, and sometimes you have to actually do a screening. So though again, as Dr. Das said, that we have virus from A to E, but hepatitis B and C are the most in focus. It's not that you don't lose life because of hepatitis A and E, which are kind of fecal-oral route, which means with contaminated food, etc. But those most of the time are self-limiting and becomes all right, except if sometimes if they go to acute liver failure. And so what they found was that B and C are the one which lead to chronicity and the after effects of B and C being in the body, despite the patient not having any acute illness. And over 1 million hepatitis related deaths every single year. So which is 10 lakhs of deaths every year, which is, I think there's statistics they've written as 1.1, and one new chronic infection every 10 seconds. It's a huge number. And that's why liver health is fundamental to human health. And so many of these can be prevented. We know that for hepatitis B, now we have a vaccine. I mean, this which has been there for a long time. Hepatitis C, which was kind of thought as untreatable, and people were scared about that. Thankfully, there's a good treatment which is available. And what Dr. Das was saying, because early on, the treatment costs were very, very high. In fact, in dollar terms, they used to talk about 85 to $100,000. So which amounted to maybe 10 lakh rupees or more. So now the costs have come down, and India, it's a very affordable medicine, and the complete course has become cheap. So in fact, now for something which was dreaded and there was nothing available, now we have virtually a cure. So now a lot of patients are, so it is important that detect hepatitis B and C and treat them. Like these are some of the functions that perform, but this is not a complete list. We know that coagulation factors and several other things. So liver, if it goes deranged, so I think we have to know that liver is the seat of many, many functions. And when Dr. Das said it's the heart of, basically because the heart as a central has been connoted as something which is central to everything. And if that stops, everything stops. But so in that regard, liver is no less. So I think actually if you see in Hindi, it is called jigar. So maybe they couldn't label two hearts. So they take it as in Hindi it is called jigar. And so it is called jigar ke tukde, right? So okay. So I think that is so. And hepatitis, actually, here I would again like to say that sometimes people get confused in this, because when we talk about hepatitis, any inflammation of the liver is hepatitis. But what the WHO and what we classically refer to when we talk about hepatitis is hepatitis, viral hepatitis, because otherwise inflammation can occur in many of these, and B and C are the ones which we are concentrating on. And I think this is just again a pictorial to say every 30 seconds, someone loses their life to hepatitis B or C. That is the magnitude of the problem. 350 million. That is how much? That will be 35 crores of people worldwide have chronic infection, and 3,000 people die from hepatitis every day. I mean, can you imagine the magnitude of the problem? One hepatitis death every 30 seconds. And overall, over 8,000 new Hep B and C cases infection occurs each day, which means almost 5 infections every minute. And if the current trajectory continues, so thankfully the WHO took cognizance of it way back, and so efforts are there, so it is not increasing to that magnitude. Otherwise, it would have surpassed several other diseases like malaria, tuberculosis, and HIV/AIDS in terms of the morbidity and mortality. And so this is just talking about in a tabular form the viral hepatitis A, B, C, D, and E. And as you can see, orophycal route, that is the A and E, which I already talked about, and B and C, which are by the parental route, and in which parental route, so in that you can, with safe practices, get control over that. And also you can talk about they lead to chronicity. So the WHO talked about that we have got one life and we have only got one liver. Hepatitis can devastate both. And so that is why they said, and here I would spend just a minute to say that it is not just knowing your hepatitis status. A lot of time when patients come to our OPDs, which are hepatitis B affected carriers or come with HCC or a cirrhosis, we have to screen the family, because of, as I talked about, that parental route, or it might be from the transmission, perinatal or vertical. So a lot of times you find that the spouse is also affected, or the children are affected, or it has come from the parents. So it is very, very important that you should screen the entire family, and also take all the preventive measures, and also the other causes of hepatitis like the alcohol, and what is now in a big way rampant is the non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So I think those also preventive measures have to go hand in hand. I mean, this is a slide which was put up by Dr. Subrajit also about the symptoms. But as you can see, the early symptoms which are there, some of them may be non-specific. So you have to actually probe and detect hepatitis virus. One good thing which is happening is that at least prior to any interventional procedure, like we always for the last several years have been doing hepatitis B, C, HIV in all cases which are to undergo surgery, after of course counseling and following the HIV protocols and all. And similarly, pregnant females are also undergoing that. So at least some part of the population, but as again Dr. Selva Murthy was talking about, we don't have very many epidemiological studies to really say that what the the actual incidence would be, which was more of the hospital based or the blood bank data. So you have to be careful before, I think, any of these symptoms like jaundice or darkening of urine, which is again you detect that when most of the time people detect that there's darkening of urine and then we look at the sclera and it is yellow. So I think WHO again with the efforts are going towards that. Still the penetration of the knowledge about this to detect hepatitis is very low. It is a startling figure. Of course, this includes the entire world from the developing countries to the not so developed and, in some of the very poor countries. But they say that 10% of the people with chronic hepatitis B are diagnosed. Only 22% of these receive treatment, which means that overall 2% of the overall burden only receive treatment. Even after diagnosis, the level of treatment is not available to all the people. And only 21% people of hepatitis C are diagnosed. And 62% of those diagnosed receive treatment to cure them. So which means that 13% of the total global health burden is only taken care of. Same thing in a pictorial form, because I thought, though I know it's all the scientists and researchers here, so it's not truly a public lecture, so to say. And I think here I would say that it is you all, I think the point which was highlighted, your predecessors who were researchers have changed the face of things, that how we are dealing with these treatment of hepatitis B and C related, which used to be so dreaded. And so I think if I start from below, that is eating contaminated food and water can cause hepatitis A and E, contaminated needles can transmit hepatitis B and C, and left untreated, hepatitis B and C can lead to liver cancer, and timely testing and treatment can save lives. And I think that is what the WHO assessment was, that the large number of deaths can be prevented. So it is mostly transmitted through, because as I said, parenteral route. So reuse or inadequate sterilization of medical equipment, transfusion of unscreened blood products, injecting drugs, and can be passed from infected mother to the child, vertical and perinatal transmission, and sexual practices, which is homosexuality or multiple sex partners. And however, these modes of transmission are lesser common than some of the other ones that we talked about in the hospital. And the myth, a lot of people still take them as untouchables, which the society has to be educated. And as it is written in the last line, it does not spread through breast milk, food, water, or casual contact such as hugging, kissing, and sharing food or drinks with an infected person. So that is very, very important, because that fear should not be there. And in fact, last time when the World Hepatitis Day was there, I was at that time partly also there in ILBS, and there was this World Hepatitis Day celebrated there. And Dr. Sareen has in fact was propagating to say that we should take a pledge to say that we will not discriminate against these people. And that is very, very important. These are small things, but if somebody, like, probably, though it is not to that extent as it used to be for leprosy, but still tuberculosis also, a lot of times there's a stigma attached to it even nowadays. So same way, we have to do away with this. And in a pictorial form, again, that these are the risks, that unsafe injection medical, unsafe sex, mother to child transmission, injecting drug use. And so the way you can prevent them is by safe and appropriate use of healthcare injections, safe handling and disposal of needles and medical waste, harm reduction services for people who inject drugs, and testing of donated blood always, which is now a routine practice to test for hepatitis B and C, and training of health personnel and practicing safe sex. And in fact, mostly are asymptomatic, and around 30% of HCV spontaneously clear the virus, and 70% go into chronicity, and which can affect, out of which 15 to 30% over 20 years develop cirrhosis. This is important, this timing. They may have been carrying the virus. And actually, if you see the world figures, even in terms of transplant, what earlier used to be hepatitis B and alcohol as the leading causes became hepatitis C, because it was not detected, it was not tested, and a lot of people who underwent procedures had got hepatitis C infected, and because at that time the cure was not available. So this, hopefully over the next decade or two, will change, because now with the effective therapy for hepatitis C. So I think, again, these are the actions which will protect, some of which I have already talked about. But I would just highlight one more thing here, 2 points. One is vaccinating infants against hepatitis B. this is a major program, and this is now in the immunization program in India also. But it is very, very important. Across the world, WHO has directed that within 24 hours of birth, the child should get the first dose, and which is very, very important, and that can go a long way. The other thing is sterilizing razors and tattoos, piercing equipment. In fact, even in UK, we saw that a lot of patients which were coming with Hep C were the ones who had gone for tattoo or ear piercing and not for any surgical procedure. And in fact, this is like, even when I go to my barber, which I think I don't have much hair to split, but still, when I tell them, and I think they do not adopt all the measures to take safeguard that. Only when you tell them, at that time they'll clean. So I think it has to be, that also has to be to the community. It has to be propagated that safe practices are there in regards to that. And mother to child, again, in this, it is very, very important that you know the status, because if it is a fast replicator, you can know the HBV DNA status, HBe antigen status, and treat appropriately depending on, this is the chart which is talking about the various modalities in the manner in which you can treat. So WHO said that if you adopted these measures, 4.5 million, which is 45 lakhs out of the deaths which are occurring, could be prevented in low and middle income countries by 2030 through vaccination, diagnostic tests, medicines, and education campaigns. And what they have made a strategy is aims to reduce new hepatitis infection by 90% and death by 65%. And so what their strategy they have suggested is that all pregnant women living with chronic hepatitis B have access to treatment, and their infants have an access to hepatitis B immunization, and which should be delivered within the first 24 hours. That is what is called the timely birth dose. Reduce hepatitis related deaths from liver cirrhosis and cancer by 65%. 90% of people living with hepatitis B and hepatitis C are diagnosed, because at the moment that a lot of that goes undiagnosed. 80% of diagnosed people are cured or treated according to newer expanded eligibility criteria, and it can be prevented by adequately screening all donated blood, ensuring safe injection practices in healthcare setting, at home, and especially among people who inject drugs. A 12-week course of medication, which I just said, hepatitis C, is not that costly now, what used to be. Because I remember, sir, as you were talking about when it was introduced, and in fact, I think there was ILBS, they were doing a trial. At that time, I used to get so many calls that, can you request that I can be included in the trial? Because it was out of pocket for most people. It was touching 1 crore in India. So I think that is what, or 70, 80 lakhs. So that was the thing, but that has become much cheaper now. It is very, very, not costly now. Hepatitis B can be prevented through vaccination. And India also, in 2018, they launched a national viral hepatitis control program. And as part of the program, they had these three, it was launched on 28 July 2018 on the occasion of World Hepatitis Day. And to combat hepatitis, again, the aims were the same, basically to reduce the infected population, morbidity and mortality associated with Hep B or C, with cirrhosis and hepatocellular carcinoma. And also to reduce the risk of morbidity of hepatitis A and E. So I think they titled it as No Hepatitis and Eliminate Hepatitis. I hope that this KNOW can become NO. So I think that is what the target of WHO is for 2030. And so this is that anyone could be at risk, which is again the same thing which we've already covered, and act now, which is because, like even small things, wash hand thoroughly. Like I think people will recall during COVID times, there was a drastic decline in diarrheal diseases in children. And probably that was because of hand sanitization, because I think because to prevent themselves from COVID, there was this thing apart from other things. So that has to become a way of life. That has to become a routine. And probably government has to look at, because there were costs involved. At that time, the fear of life and death was there. So they were still getting it somehow, and the government schemes were there to give them that hand sanitizer. But I think that would go a long way. And cook food and boil water before consuming. Even these are simple steps, but these do go a long way in trying to prevent this disease. And it is estimated in India, I mean, usually they say prevalence is 2 to 4%, but 40 million is 4 crores of people, and 6 to 12 million people suffering from hepatitis C. And the carrier state is also quite high, and cirrhosis develop in 15 to 25%. And anti-hepatitis C antibody, which is the diagnostic kind of test, or the screening or the test for hepatitis C, is 0.09 to 15% in different series. And program proposes to offer drugs and diagnostics for hepatitis B and C and management of hepatitis A and E. And several centers in the city are now giving free of cost medicine for even hepatitis C. And so at the time of this launch, there were 3 guidelines released during the event, which included Operational Guidelines, National Viral Hepatitis Control Program, National Guidelines for Diagnosis and Management of Viral Hepatitis, and National Laboratory Guidelines for Testing of Viral Hepatitis. And WHO estimate, this is an old figure, but at that time they estimated that probably in India, 2.85% or nearly 3% of the deaths were owing to viral hepatitis. And of course, I'm not going into the clinical details of this to talk about that serology is available to diagnose various viruses, and depending on various markers like the HBe antigen, which I talked about, or the HBV DNA and other things, you can get an idea of whether the patient is in replication stage and what phase of the disease or phase of the infection the patient is. And there are challenges which are similar to what was highlighted in the WHO, saying that still there's a lack of awareness. There is some areas of hyperendemicity and limited availability of reliable national and state epidemiological data, low immunization coverage despite it being in the program, and stigma is there, still discrimination against the Hep B or C positive patients, and inadequate screening in certain peripheral areas, though in the major cities, it is still being tested, but in some of the other parts of the country, because India is a big country and different kinds of hospitals, so not all centers are testing that because of cost considerations. So just looking at, this is an important thing in terms of research, or trying to look at, because we know that the chronicity is dependent on this covalently closed circular DNA. And so the relaxed DNA, when it transforms into that triple C DNA, that is the covalently closed circular DNA. So you have to understand that, and understanding of that will tell us how we can target that to create new targeted therapies. That will be important, because hepatitis B, thankfully, when there is an acute infection, because some of the patients who have acute infection, in fact, 90% of that would clear the virus and 10% leads to chronicity. And in those patients, though there are a lot of other patients who have contracted without any acute disease and they will go into chronicity, so HBsAg positive. So I think what we can intervene by this is that probably stop the progress. Like HBV DNA, there are antiviral treatment to treat the HBV DNA, or like HCV also now, patient has already contracted HCV, which is fine, but you are intercepting that so that it doesn't transform into disease. So liver cirrhosis, I think if it is just coming back to that, after the hepatitis virus, giving you a brief about that and the hepatitis, I would go on to the ill effects which it will cause when there is a chronicity of hepatitis B and C in particular, but also with other causes. And so that would be, as you can see in this slide, that leads to fatty liver fibrosis, and then cirrhosis. And we know that fatty liver also tends to bring out a lot of changes. This is one of the papers which were published from Royal Free at that time. Professor Brian Davidson and Alex Cephalyan were there. And when we looked at the microcirculatory changes in fatty, rabbits, so it was that there was, as you can read the conclusion, reduces hepatic blood flow and parenchymal microcirculation. The latter is more marked, reduced with severe steatosis. This may explain the development of microcirculatory impairment and graft failure after transplantation of fatty liver despite adequate liver blood flow. And I want to highlight this part about the fatty liver, mainly because mostly clinician or otherwise, when you're researching, you would look at cirrhosis. But this is an intermediate stage, and when it is fatty liver or some amount of fibrosis, this is reversible. So, like by definition, cirrhosis as one, it becomes irreversible. So, if you intervene, and how it is significant is that also, like in transplant situations, you look at the amount of steatosis, and which you also divide as macro and micro steatosis in the donor. So that is why when you retrieve the cadaveric donor, you, with an eyeball figure, you try to look at if it is absolutely fine, it's okay. Otherwise, you send for histology and do that. I mean, just I was talking about, the next slide will show. I mean, you people must have been knowing about the story about Prometheus, Zeus, when they put it on the hill and this liver was exposed, and the eagle will come and every day eat a part of the liver, but next day to be found that it has regenerated, and so, or it has grown. So while the normal liver, you can go to the extent, I being a surgeon, I'll come to some of the surgical slides also later, to say that 70% or even more liver can be resected in a normal liver, and the remaining liver will take care of that. However, if there is a fatty liver, this thing goes down, and if it is cirrhotic, they'll only tolerate lesser amount of liver resection, which again I'll come to in the subsequent slide. Now, signs and symptoms of cirrhosis, I don't want to go into that details of the clinical, but I think as Dr. Subhrajit was talking about, some of the delayed ones are like the patient will come with jaundice or with ascites or pedal edema and things like that. Now, here is the thing about causes of cirrhosis. Now, we know that hepatitis B, C, but you can see there are various other causes. And in that, two major causes nowadays are alcohol and also the non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So pathogenesis of alcoholic liver disease, we know that, in this area also the chronic consumption of alcohol leads to liver damage and cirrhosis. But in this also a lot of studies, a lot of research going on, because not everybody, it is not dose related in all, while some people will develop cirrhosis earlier than some others. And so you need to look at that, what are the markers for cell injury, what are the ones in which you can precipitate the warning signs much earlier to tell them to stop, unless it is going to, though of course you will give that advice to all of them, but they don't heed. But maybe you'll have some more markers to say that, see, this is getting deranged, or this is a marker which is there of which is of sinistral magnitude. So you better stop. And also there is work on microRNA and like this, some of the studies which are there, and deletion of microRNA 155 in mice models lead to protection from alcohol-induced steatosis and steatohepatitis. On a lighter tone, if you can find a solution to that drink whatever amount of alcohol and liver is still protected, I'm sure it'll go a long way for merrymaking and also for the industry. So I don't know, we are still far away from there, but still at least we can have insights into, so that we do not have loss of life because of alcohol. Now, NAFLD pathogenesis, again, we know that it is, and mind you, NAFLD now, when we realize that there are lean patients also, it is not necessary that the patient will be an obese patient. So that also thought and mindset has to go. And central obesity, these are high risk factor, insulin, type 2 diabetes, dyslipidemia, and hypertension. And it again goes through NAFLD and NASH. And it is important to distinguish between NAFLD and NASH, because when the NASH, and then it progresses subsequently to fibrosis, cirrhosis, and can become HCC. Now, I'll come to in my subsequent slide about HCC, because there's a field change. Mostly, there's a cirrhosis, and then there is a HCC, which occurs in the field of, cirrhosis. However, hepatitis B, it gets incorporated into the DNA, and then subsequently, even without causing cirrhosis, it can lead to HCC. So we have a lot of patients who may be hepatitis B positive, but are not cirrhotic and have HCC. And this is NAFLD prevalence. But again, as we were talking about, our limitation is that these are all hospital-based studies, because otherwise it's too high a figure in some of the areas. And if you see that Far East, which is more from the rural area, that is 8.7%. So it is a variable figure, but certainly it is an alarming thing, and it is on the rise. And so it is important again to make a distinction between NAFLD, NASH, and try to detect that what are we dealing with and can we control it in time. And just we know that genetic studies have been done to say that we are kind of exposed to that and we are susceptible to this. And then there are a lot of studies which are going on that, NAFLD is a area of research, which I'm sure some of you might also be involved with. Those who are in the liver, you must be already doing a lot of research. So I would not, because I think you all are wiser than I am in this area. So I think, but anyway, I'll just touch upon that for the completeness sake. And newer biomarkers in NAFLD, which is also being looked at. And we know that fecal transplant, that has come in a big way with this biota, which is being looked at. I think All India Institute recently published that data in which that significantly alters the natural history of NAFLD. And so I think similarly for cirrhosis, newer biomarkers, which can again give us an idea about how far are we going. And microRNA work is also going in fibrosis and cirrhosis. And I believe there are some people who are working also on the stem cell therapy, and which is again an area which is emerging and I think will bring a big promise, because that can improve the liver regenerative and reparative process. And I think one of the paper that I've quoted here, in which there are 9 patients, the data of which they have talked about, and they took the mesenchymal stem cells. And in this review article, they went through that from where all they can take the stem cells. And as I was talking, I think you said that you are taking it from the bone marrow stem cells you are doing. And so I think just pictorially showing you, taking you through the stem cell and talking about how they can help, and they can help in immunoregulation in liver fibrosis, and so that they regulate the transition of immune cells in the liver from a pro-inflammatory phenotype to an anti-inflammatory phenomena, which will help in reparative process and regeneration. This is again the same thing. So just hepatocellular carcinoma. Now again in this, if you see viral hepatitis B, C, non-alcoholic and alcoholic fatty liver disease and cirrhosis. Apart from, there are other several causes, but these are the important causes. And HCC again goes through, and 80% of HCC develop on background of cirrhosis, which I talked about in worldwide. And in India, some studies quote up to 97% with cirrhosis. HCC develop at a younger age in Asian population, and risk of HCC in HBV, HCV, and alcohol-related cirrhosis is 2.2%, 3.8%, and 1.7% respectively. And other causes of alcohol and NAFLD. Advances in understanding molecular pathogenesis of HCC is being focused on the identification of signal transduction pathways. And this is important because, in fact, when you look at the transplant for HCC, like just to give a general understanding, like mostly when there's a tumor in the liver, you would resect that. But if there's a field change, there is cirrhosis, and you think that this tumor will come up again in other areas. So that is why there are criteria based on that. Some of the patients are fit for transplant. Like some cannot withstand a resection, and some are there where there is a, it could go either way. But you choose depending on certain other criteria, which I'll come to in the subsequent part of my talk. But what I was talking about was that this understanding of the molecular pathogenesis and the pathology part and the molecular is important, because there are studies from, I think Lovett did that, and also from Mount Sinai, Myron Schwartz and these people, they were talking about that even though you don't do a biopsy in resectable or transplantable patients, but in some of them, they want that biopsy so they can titrate the treatment and select the patients. So etiology driven, and this is again from the best to the worst prognosis based on the different, when you put in all the information that you have in terms of pathology, molecular, and certainly it would be worthwhile to have, because to my knowledge, you might be knowing better, but you don't have a good mouse model in which you can look at, sorry? No, you have a mouse model in which you can test various HCC model for, yeah. Yes. So you are using some of the targeted therapy for that? All right. Okay. Right. Okay. So that is probably more needs to be developed in that regard. And this is just again taking you through the histological classification, just talking about that because of the pathology and molecular, like fibrolamellar HCC, which is a kind of HCC, but it's a much better prognosis. And those are the cases in which you can do 1 time, 2 time, 3 time resection with good results. Like one of our patients, this was a young girl of 16, 17 years when we operated, and she's now more than 10 years follow up, and we did a laparoscopic liver resection in this. Sorry, am I running out of time? Yeah, okay. So need for molecular classification is there into proliferative, non-proliferative, and various markers. I'll just run through some of them. But when this Totoki study, they talked about that there were average number of CNAs in 11.58 and 29% of gross chromosomal loss. Average was 2.8 mutations per megabase, and average ploidy was 3.87. So the way forward is develop clinically readily available surrogates of HCC molecular classification based on clinico-pathological information and clinical trial enrichment for molecular targeted anti-HCC drug. And so you factor in all the information that you have before you finalize on a treatment protocol, and we look at the molecular, the published subclasses and clinical phenotype, and then decide what the treatment for a particular patient should be. And there are clinical trials underway for trying all these modalities. So I'll just run through these 2 slides, and more aggressive tumor and less aggressive tumor based on all the information that you have. And so you can decide the management. Coming to this management part, the point that I talked about, that whether the patient needs a resection or a transplant will depend on, one, of course, the liver, the disease has to be limited to the liver. Then is there a decompensation? Like while a compensated liver will tolerate more amount of liver resection because the liver reserve is more, but some of the patients will not even tolerate a minor resection if they were decompensated. So again, this is, so just taking you briefly through that, because I think as researcher, you should also know a little bit with the clinical connect about the liver, because you may not need to know in detail about the liver anatomy, but the liver anatomy, which is taught as an MBBS student as an in the undergraduate, is totally different from what we look at the surgical anatomy, because the right and the left lobe is different. Like in this, what is taught at that time as a right lobe, actually this is the based on the lie of the veins. That is the middle hepatic vein, the right hepatic vein, and the left hepatic vein, and divided into right and left. This is the functional anatomy, metabolic. Yeah, just I wanted to come to this, that it is divided each segment. There are 8 segments of the liver. Each has its own bile duct, arterial supply, and the portal vein. And it is the lie of these veins. And so each of these segment or combination can be resected by both open and laparoscopic technique. And now there is a lot of good imaging modality with 3D reconstruction available, so that you can measure that how much is the liver remnant which will remain after this resection. And this is where the research comes in to know that how we can regenerate the remnant liver. Like some of the things came kind of as a corollary to, or as a byproduct. Like when I was talking again today, that there were some immunosuppressants like mycophenolate, which was seen that they tend to regenerate liver. So I think we are looking at some things by which you can enhance the liver regeneration, so that after resection or after transplant, the patients can survive. So I mean, just to again tell you that almost up to 80%, 70 to 80% in a normal liver can be resected. But when there's a injured liver, either because of chemotherapy or fatty liver, only we need at least 30% reserve. And with cirrhosis, 40%. This why we are talking about in the compensated liver. And just, I don't know if I'll have, can I just briefly show you just one video. Yeah, children, I think it's, no? No, it's not going. Video is not running, I think. Anyway, I'll just go out of this and show you the video after this. So this is the portal vein embolization. When the which is thought that the liver remnant is not enough, I'll come back to the video. Liver remnant is not enough, then you augment the future remnant liver. For that, you block the portal flow to that part of the part which is to be resected. And that, with the improvement on the blood flow on the other side and other regenerative mechanisms, the liver grows, and so that you can perform a safer liver resection. But probably the last last kid on the block is ALPS, which is the associated liver partition with portal vein ligation for stage hepatectomy. Because sometimes what happens is that even when you have done a portal vein embolization, the hypertrophy is not enough and the patient is running a risk of liver failure. In those cases, you can actually do a one-stage portal vein embolization and then do a partition of the liver, and don't remove the liver which is to be resected. Like you can see this is the first step, that in addition to ligation of the portal vein on this side, the right side is a tumor, and partition the liver. And this tends to lead to growth of the liver much faster. And within 1 to 2 weeks, and probably average is 8-9 days, you can go in again, remove this part of the tumor, and leave behind this. So, I mean, I'm just trying to say, because in general public also, people still are thinking about 20-30 years ago that liver surgery is not safe. And now the world has moved on, and laparoscopically all these procedures are possible, including transplant. And so this is just pictorial again. And this becomes handy. This comes handy when there is a bilateral disease. So because you can berry pick and remove the tumor from one side. So even when we talk about bilateral tumor, they are all resectable. So I mean, not all resectable, but they should be assessed by a surgeon for resectability. But again, coming to, like, this was a doctor patient who had a small HCC, which didn't need a big liver resection. But as you can see, there's a lot of ascites. So this patient will not tolerate even a minor resection. So this patient had to be sent for transplant. So for these, you have to do a transplant, and that would be required. I mean, there are various criteria in this, which I already talked about, that Mount Sinai, the work which has gone on to look at the molecular and the pathology features to decide whether which will recur early. Because I think people have advanced the criteria, that the Milan criteria used to be that up to, single tumor 5 centimeter, but this has been extended in UCSF criteria when people realized that the results were still better even if you extended that. But then it was realized that it is not universally true that size is the only criteria, because some of the patients who were thought to be that they will not recur early, and the reverse way. So, I mean, this is just one of the papers in which they talk about validation of a pathological score, because even in a same patient, different tumors may have different histology. And this is the paper that I was talking about, that from Mount Sinai and several other workers, that they talk about, is there a case for liquid biopsy to try and look at other factors to prevent the recurrence? So thank you very much for attention. I'll just, if I'm allowed, maybe 1.5 minute or something video. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just to try and show that this is a cirrhotic liver with a tumor here. That is the left lateral part in segment 2-3. I don't know, light, if it can go down a bit, maybe you can see. नहीं आ रहा? अच्छा, कोई बात नहीं, अभी चल लेते हैं, 1 ही मिनट में. लाइट थोड़ा कम हो सकता है. So this, I mean, so you can see how bad the liver is. And I think laparoscopic surgery has allowed to push that envelope a little further, because you disrupt less things in that area. So probably some of the resection that you would be a little afraid of doing can be done by laparoscopic route. As you can see, that this is with the diaphragm, and left lateral hepatectomy is being done. Yeah, so that's it. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Professor Agarwal, for enlightening us with your knowledge and expertise. I would request Das sir and Vishwas sir to facilitate. The lunchtime moment. We were running late. So I request Das sir and Vishwas sir to felicitate the speaker.
Please stay here because all participation will get the certificate. If you don't participate full event, so it will be difficult, right? So next week, definitely you will get the certificate from BC Dasar office, 114J3. Okay. Yeah. It's a part of academic activity. Okay. So it's
Moving forward, we are privileged to have Dr. Prashant, the strategic disease partner from industry, ATCG, amongst us. He will be discussing the promising advancement in the field of 3D bioprinting technology as an alternative to animal testing.
Next week when he comes, he can.
sure, sir.
Don't leave, wait for a 10-15 minutes. It will be a short talk. He will be coming again next week, so that time demonstration and talk with the whole day program will be there. That will be in the department. So please be here and we will finish it in 15 minutes or so. Evening.
Yeah, there will be a workshop also with 3D printing. So Dr. Prashant will lead in Amity Institute of Molecular Medicine Stem Cell Research. So just a brief.
So, good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you all. Before starting this talk today, I would like to thank organizing committee, Dr. Biswas, for giving us this opportunity to come and present this solution. And I'm truly honored to share the stage with dignitaries like Dr. Agrawal and Dr. Das. So, without taking much time, let's start with the talk today. So it's a very interesting topic, and I'm sure majority of you must have heard this news that FDA, now Government of India also, now they have given this free hand to researchers to take a call whether they still want to continue with the animal testing for their future research, or they want to start looking for some kind of alternatives. So there is a very, very clear thought process behind it. It's not a random phenomenon wherein a government simply came up and took up this call. So it's very important to understand that why government has taken up this call, that we should start looking for the animal alternatives. I'm going to skip few slides for the sake of time. What is very important is to look at this particular slide. Now, whenever you talk about any kind of drug discovery program, can anyone here from among the students tell me what is the time duration for a one drug to come to the market? How long it takes? Yes? Absolutely right. Thank you. It's a very long duration. Drug discovery, it has got 4 stages, right? Drug discovery, then you have got preclinical stages, clinical stages, then market research. Almost 70% of the time goes with drug discovery part. And in the drug discovery part, we have got 2 options. We work with in vitro, we work with the different in vivo models, there are in situ models, there are so many things available. But there was a big gap in the drug discovery phase versus preclinical. What was happening, that the data which we generate with the help of your in vitro cell cultures, it is not directly correlated with your in vivo studies. So there are lots of times when researchers, they perform lots of in vitro studies, they get some kind of success, and the moment they translate it to the in vivo, to the animal studies, there was a big gap. There was not a direct correlation. In fact, some of my I worked on rheumatoid arthritis. So idea was to look for some drug which can ameliorate the conditions of rheumatoid arthritis. Okay. I also started with checking with in vitro cell culture. So there we were getting the result, but the moment we shifted to animal studies, effects were reduced. Reason being, and it is not only me, I mean majority of the researchers, they are facing the same problem, wherein they get the good results with in vitro, but they cannot translate it with the in vivo research. Biggest problem is in vitro do not mimic your body. This is the biggest gap. We are simply putting the cells in the culture plates and trying to say that it is going to mimic animals, human body. No, it doesn't work that way. So it was a big gap. So researchers started thinking about what are the alternatives and what are those technologies which can closely resemble human body. That is the origin of 2D culture. Then 3D culture came into the light. But even after trying all of these things, success was not of that great value. So that is the reason scientific community, along with some engineers, they invented a technology called 3D bioprinting. Now I am sure majority of you must have heard of 3D printing, like in the we make toys, right? So that you can make it a part of the toys, right? You whether use some kind of cement, you use some kinds of plastic, metals. If you have some structure in your mind which you want to make, with the help of some kind of assistance of the software, you can build up those. Similar concept we have applied now to 3D bioprinting. So what is happening with the 3D bioprinting is, instead of printing non-living things like toys or some kinds of ceramics, anything, we have nowadays started printing tissues. Now, as a researcher, we have the option whether we want to test our drugs over on the cell cultured cells, or we want to test our hypothesis on a more relevant conditions as per our body. So nowadays there is an option, you can test your drugs directly onto the tissues. Now all of these tissues can be printed very easily with the help of 3D bioprinters. So we are from ATCG India. We represent the Swedish company called Cellink. Cellink is the pioneer. They pioneer in the 3D bioprinting world. They were the first who, almost 2 decades back, they came up with this concept of 3D bioprinting. They came up with the first 3D bioprinter. So today I am not going in much detail. Perhaps in our workshop that we can cover those things. Today I'm just going to give you general idea to generate the interest that what is 3D bioprinting, what are different bioinks which are used here, and what are the different applications which can be covered here. So to begin with, if you can see, this is the entire workflow of bioprinting. First, you need to design a 3D model. I am sure this VFX effects, everything we have seen right in different movies. So we see that all of these things are being created. All these visual effects are being created with the help of AIs. Different softwares are available, wherein with the help of software we design the structure. In this case, what in the 3D bioprinting, what is happening is, say for example, you want to create liver. You want to print a liver. So first, with the help of software, AI, we will have to print a design of the liver which we want to print. Second is material, what you need. Now, of course, when you want to print liver, you need hepatocytes or maybe the primary cells which we can purchase from multiple sources. Plus, you require growth factors. You need to provide media. Plus, you need to provide those biocompatible materials which can make this printing happen. So, bioinks and biomaterial comprises of your cells, media, and other components like polymers, alginates, which can make a fine paste, less viscous paste out of it. Then you require a machine which can actually print it. Now, choice of a bioprinter, it's very important. It will always depend on what exactly you want to print and what is the finest detail which you are interested in. If you say, I am interested in printing a liver, so hepatocytes, what is the average diameter? Can someone tell me? Hepatocytes, average diameter of hepatocytes, or maybe the primary cells which we use for liver toxicity studies. Okay, 18 to 20 microns. This is what we are looking for when we look for these kinds of cells. So when we talk about finest details, so bioprinters, you will, if you go through the literature, you will see almost 6-7 different types of bioprinters available in the market. But there are basically two categories only. First is extrusion based, second is light based. So light based bioprinters are required when you require very minute details, when you want to print in the range of microns, 1 micron, 10 micron, 35 to 40 microns. Then light based printers you require. But if you want to print bigger cells, bigger organs like liver, so extrusion based bioprinters are the ideal choice. They can work with high viscous liquids also. So once you have decided the which bioprinter you want to use, all you need to do is give the command to the software. They will simply print your tissue layer by layer onto the plates of your choice. You want to print it into the 96 well plate, 12 well plate, culture disc. You can print it everywhere, and you can cure it. I mean, it's very important that once you have printed a tissue which is very soft in nature, you should be able to lift it in order to perform some kinds of experiments, to expose it to drugs and different kinds of stimulants. So curing can also be done. After that, your tissue material is ready for your downstream application. Now, when I talk about downstream application, it can start from your basic gene expression profiling. It can go all the way up to your deep immune profiling and your proteomics studies. So these are some of the ways, like with the help of which we can design which kind of structures we want to print. And there are different software languages called G code, which is a language which software uses in order to print all of these kinds of bioprinting. I'm going to skip these things. Maybe perhaps bioinks, more details we will go in detail during our workshop. Let me come directly to liver. Yes, this is important. So from cell link, like I said, it's a choice of a researcher plus the application requirement, which kind of bioprinter we want to use. So we provide a complete range of bioprinter starting from light based. So Quantum X Bio, it can go to a very fine detail of 1 microns. Then we have BioNova X and Lumina X generation 3, which can go up to the fine resolution of 10 to 35 microns. Then we have BioX and BioX6, which are extrusion-based bioprinters. So next week, when we are coming here for the demo, we are coming up with this system called BioX. It's an extrusion-based bioprinter, and we are going to print in front of you, so that you can see in live that how tissue printing is going to happen. So there are different printheads. Again, let me skip. Yes, I think this would be of interest to you all. So this is, we have heard a lot from Dr. Agrawal and Dr. Das about hepatotoxicity, right? Hepatitis, all of these things. So it's very important that research should be conducted about it. Now, it's not easy, apart from clinicians, to get access to liver biopsy samples. So till date, we have been performing our experiments on liver cell lines, and we have been facing the same problem, that we get success there, but the moment we go to preclinical, effects are gone. So bioprinting is here now. We can use it very well to print liver tissues. So there are multiple examples. So this slide, what I am showing here, this is a real life example where researchers from USA, Stanford University, I think it is Stanford University, they printed mini liver with the help of extrusion-based bioprinting. So as a standard, when we talk about hepatotoxicity studies, paracetamol and ulexin are the most commonly used models for inducing the liver toxicity. So these are the same drugs which has been used here, and we have used say BioX model, which we are bringing here next week. This is the same model which was used to print the mini liver. These were the multiple cell types which were used, and collagen was used as a bio ink. So bio ink is nothing but a facilitator which keeps the cells in a single place so that they do not disperse everywhere. And then multiple downstream applications were conducted for your viability, for your fat deposition. All these experiments were performed, and you can see very well that how these mini liver were produced with the printed with the help of extrusion based printer. This is day 2 and this is day 6. Now this is as per the researcher's choice. They conducted this experiment till day 6 also, but for your chronic liver toxicity studies, if you are interested, you can prolong these kinds of models up to 28 and 72 days also. All you need to do is print a little bigger tissue and flush it with the replace the media as soon as possible so that toxins are not accumulated there. And these images were captured with bright field microscopes, fluorescence microscopes. You can see with the day by day progression, liver toxicity is increasing with the help of these two hepatotoxic drugs, and different kinds of alkalines and ALT assays were performed. So this experiment opened up the way for the future researchers who want to work on liver toxicity. Now methods are being standardized. You can print the tissues with the help of cell-link 3D bioprinter. You can test your drugs. Now one more problem which comes in selecting in designing the experiment with 3D bioprinting is what should be the choice of your bioink. So thankfully, with the with the R&D team of Cell-Link and the researchers who have developed different kinds of bioinks, all these things are readily available. We can share all of these kinds of protocol, and we can in fact help in the experimental designing as well. So these are some more examples which I am not going in much detail. I am just going to skip through the slides. So you can just see what I am presenting here. During our workshop, we can have much more detailed discussions. So this is about not only about liver toxicity for viral infectious diseases. These models where these viruses were inoculated along with the cells with the 3D bioprinted inks, and all these experiments were performed. So there are multiple examples. So for the sake of research, what I would like to tell you here is, when we talk about downstream applications, let's not restrict our analysis to few proteins or few genes. I mean, you will see lots of publications where researchers have tried to go with a single plexing experiments wherein we are using ELISA and flow cytometers Western blotting, these kinds of technologies for an identification of couple of markers. From our side, recommendation would be that you print with the help of selling 3D bioprinter and go for multiplexing analysis. Wherein, when we talk about expression profiling, let's not restrict our analysis to RT-PCRs only. Let's explore the technologies which can, like NGS and targeted gene expression profiling from nanostring, wherein you can do thousands of genes analysis, wherein you can do thousands of proteins analysis simultaneously along with images. So there are different examples which I can share. This is the skin model which can be presented. So these would be very helpful for your wound healing experiments. There are different cosmetic industries. So till date, they were also dependent on different kinds of volunteers. Now, this is the all these principles, these companies, cosmetic companies, names which I am displaying here, they all are using 3D bioprinting technology. So instead of hiring the volunteers to participate in the testing of those ointments and those creams, they are printing the skin patches with the help of selling 3D bioprinters, and they are testing it now. So there are multiple examples. This should be interesting to you because apart from tissues and everything, cornea has been successfully printed. And one of the I'm proud to tell you this, that one of the Indian company, Bangalore-based Pandorum, they have successfully created cornea, and now they are working very aggressively on creating the true liver model with the help of this system. So I can keep on going, but I'm gonna, time is limited, so I'm gonna skip through all of these slides. This is the last slide which I want to show you, that yes, it is right now we have only one model with us, that is extrusion based, that whenever with Dr. Viswas we will discuss and we'll bring the system here. But for your experience, if you want to see in real time that how real researchers are doing it, so CellLink has a center of excellence at IISc Bangalore. So it has got all kinds of extrusion and light-based bioprinters. So for educational purpose or for your as a part of your research, if you want to see this system and conduct some experiments, we can connect you with Dr. Kosik, and he can help you with further experiments. With this, thank you very much for your attention. Any questions, we can address it for.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Prashant, for enlightening us. Can we felicitate him? I request Das sir and Vishwas sir to felicitate the speaker. So now we come towards the end of the program. First and foremost, I would like to thank our beloved founder, President Dr. Ashok K. Chauhan sir, to lead us with wisdom, compassion, and a remarkable vision that continues to inspire us. I extend our heartfelt appreciation to our esteemed guests, Professor Anil Agarwal and Dr. Prashant, who graced this event with their presence, for their thought-provoking talks and sharing their knowledge and expertise with us. I would like to thank our dynamic Chancellor Sir, our respected Vice Chancellor Ma'am, respected Silvamurthy Sir, Professor B.C. Das Sir. Your support, involvement, your valuable insight has always inspired us. To our compassionate and dedicated participants, we extend a special vote of thanks. A special mention goes to the organizer, Professor Shubhrajit Vishwas, my faculty colleagues, and our student volunteers who have worked tirelessly behind the screen. Last but not the least, I would like to thank the IT department, ASCO, media coverage, Special mention to Professor J.S. Sodhi sir, Mr. J.P. Singh, Colonel R.K. Dargan. Thank you again to each and one of you. So now I invite Professor Vishwas to just end the program.
Thank you. It's close to end. Just we'll take
Dr. Vishwas, very well done. Anil Agarwal ji ka, I heard partly the lecture running through. Very well. I heard the lecture of Prashant also. Very successful, foresighted, way ahead. I congratulate all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. In front of you, we'll say the 3 times our slogan this year, that is, we can't wait. Okay.
Yes.
One. So you will again. We can't wait. We can't wait.
Right.
We can't wait.
And Chancellor's slogan, we will change the word. Chancellor's slogan, we will change the word. Right.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for watching our valuable time, for your time. And we'll go forward in another program, because CSR DG is coming in our campus within a half an hour or so. After lunch, we'll be there. Thank you. So please join there also in I2 mood court. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Achha, come in the front for the group photo. Ajay, sir, इधर आ जाइए.
Please quickly assemble in the front for a group photograph.
Recording stopped.